Horse Gluttony by Celeste Winter, Chapter 6, The Frozen Coven. The next morning came too fast. Nutmeg boarded the early train with Cinnamon, the one whispered about on forums for its gentle humming vibrations and sentient upholstery. When she stepped on board, she understood why. Everything vibrated with a soft, sleepy magic that felt like sitting inside a breathing, oversized cat. Blue runes sprinkled along the windows. The seats shifted shape until they matched every passenger's spine. The air smelled faintly of cold lavender and travel anxiety. Nutmeg forced herself into the seat opposite Cinnamon, then crossed her arms like she could physically hold the dread in place. She was going to a coven to fix her imagination. Her imagination. This was the kind of secret you took to your grave. Cinnamon tapped idly at an info slate, glancing up at her over and over and over and over again with the annoying accuracy of someone who knew her too well. Worried? He asked. No, she lied instantly. He raised an eyebrow. The train glided forward faster than anything should glide, and soon the world outside became a smear of green forests, silver cliffs, and impossible mountain ranges. Hours folded into each other like the pages of a book someone was flipping too quickly. Nutmeg couldn't sleep. She tried, but every time her eyes shut, she saw her team in the creation bay, working passionately, brilliantly, tirelessly, and she saw herself. Not working, not passionately, not brilliantly, just empty. She pressed her forehead to the window, watching her reflection warp with the landscape. The tired eyes, the set jaw, the haunted look she pretended was just concentration. What would witches even do for a burnout? Give her a potion? A ritual? A therapy session? A slap? She didn't know which one she feared more. The scenery shifted so gradually she almost didn't notice. First, the bright green outside faded to pale frost, then white, then blue, an otherworldly frost blue that glowed like it had swallowed the moon. The train slowed. Snow fell in silent sheets, thick enough to muffle sound, thin enough to sparkle. The station was tiny, stone-built, and tucked into the curve of a frozen hillside. Cinnamon stepped off casually. Nutmeg stepped off like she expected the entire realm to attack her. The cold was a living thing. It bit. Then she saw it. The lake. A vast frozen expanse stretched across the valley, its surface crisscrossed with gold cracks that intertwined like veins. Nutmeg stepped closer, boots crunching, groveling. Is it glowing? In summer, it's liquid queso, Cinnamon said far too casually. Legend says an ancient creature lives down there and heats it from below. Nutmeg's stomach fell through her boots. So the monster is just under us? Sleeping. He paused. Probably. She took 3 determined steps away from the lake. The Winter Coven's headquarters rose from the mountain like a myth pulled into reality. Stone towers curved like horns. Balconies jutted like ice blades. Windows glowed with runic blue. Smoke drifted up in impossible shapes. Sigils, spirals, symbols that vanished before they could be interpreted. Nutmeg had expected guards, or at least a keypad. But the enormous front doors were wide open. "That seems like a trap," she whispered. "They don't believe in locks," Cinnamon said. "That's even more of a trap." But she stepped inside anyway. The interior was cathedral cold. Floating candles drifted overhead, like sleepy fireflies. Crystal sconces cast shifting patterns across the walls. Walls carved entirely with arrows. Thousands and thousands of arrows, all pointing in different directions. Nutmeg stared. "Are those moving?" "Yeah," Cinnamon leaned in close. "The building's semi-sentient. It rearranges itself to guide visitors. Or to confuse them to death," she muttered. But bit by bit, the arrows aligned themselves into a winding path. Subtle, patient, urging her forward. Nutmeg followed. Her heartbeat echoed. Her breath fogged. Her nerves braided themselves tighter and tighter. The path ended at a tall stone door carved with sigils of blood, smoke, and imagination. The three ancient ingredients of inspiration magic. The door was open. The room beyond felt like walking into a storm. Witches and sorcerers filled the chamber, floating in chairs or perched on air, brewing potions that emitted musical notes, reading spellbooks that turned their own pages. Some were unmistakably vampires. Pale skin, dark clothes, elegant fangs. Others looked human, but not entirely normal. A few were something in between. Every single head turned toward Nutmeg and Cinnamon. The moment they entered, Nutmeg almost fainted. Cinnamon lifted a polite hand. "Hello?" A tall vampire witch glided toward them, her cloak trailing like a living shadow. "What brings two young mages to the Winter Coven?" Nutmeg looked at Cinnamon. He nodded once, softly, reassuringly. It didn't help. Nutmeg swallowed. Her voice cracked on the first word. I can't create." The hall silenced. "I've lost my inspiration," she said, cheeks burning. "My imagination is broken, and I need help." She expected gasps, laughter, judgment, disappointment, a magical intervention, possibly an execution. Instead, the tall vampire tilted her head sympathetically. "Ah," she said, softly. "A common wound of the gifted." "It is?" Nutmeg croaked. "Oh yes," another witch chimed in. "Creative droughts are universal. We have entire departments devoted to them." "It happened to me for 3 centuries, a vampire added from a corner, raising her mug. "Awful time. I only recovered last decade." Nutmeg blinked, slowly, awkwardly, in consideration, then noticed how much attention she'd put into her own blinking. Her lungs loosened, her shame cracked like thawing ice. Maybe she wasn't a failure. Maybe she wasn't the only one. Maybe she wasn't broken. Cinnamon smiled at her, warm, relieved, not smug. Not superior, just proud. Nutmeg was still terrified, still drained, still unsure what healing would look like. But for the first time since graduation, she believed it was possible. She was not alone. She was not doomed. She was beginning something. And deep beneath the frozen lake, the ancient creature stirred, sensing a new story beginning.